is not to be considered a public community meeting. This meeting is an in-person meeting held at 870 Colfax here in Benton Harbor. In addition, a live stream of this meeting is available at the following link. Questions may be submitted beforehand to natalie.singer@bhas.org or presented in person during the public comment section as indicated in the agenda. Board members may be contacted through the emails listed below. Requests for special assistance, including for persons with disabilities, may be sent to natalie.singer@bhas.org. I call this meeting to order officially at 6:02 p.m. We'll begin by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Secretary Triplett, can you please call the roll?
President Robinson.
Present.
Vice President Bowen.
Present.
Secretary Triplett. Present. Treasurer Bradley. Trustee Rocket Martin. Trustee Gavin.
Present.
Trustee Doyle.
Present.
Madam President, a quorum has been established.
All right, awesome. Our next item of business is approval of the agenda. We have one item of business this evening, that's staff report C1 pertaining to the Fair State Robotics Field Trip. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to President Robinson. I move that we approve the agenda.
Is there a second or support?
Second.
The motion has been made by Trustee Gavin and supported by Vice President Bowens. Questions, comments, and concerns? Hearing none. Secretary Triplett.
President Robinson.
Yes.
Vice President Bowen.
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Gavin.
Yes.
Trustee Doyle.
Yes.
Madam President, motion passes. Carried.
All right. Up next, we have the review of the board norms. The Board of Education norms for Benton Harbor area schools. We will treat each other with respect. We will listen to learn. We will refrain from side conversations. We will use our time wisely, starting and ending our meetings on time. I did estimate that this meeting should only take us about 30 minutes, so I am trying to hold true to that. We will challenge ideas, not people. We will ask questions when in doubt. There will be no surprises at the board table. We will practice the 7 norms of collaboration. Those are pausing, paraphrasing, posing questions, putting ideas on the table, providing data, paying attention to self and others, and presuming positive intentions. Next up, we have public comment on agenda items. Is there anyone here that's present for a public comment on an agenda item today? Okay, I'll read the statement and you can come up as I do. The Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters. Today, there are 2 areas for comment on the agenda of which you may decide when to speak: public comment on agenda items and open public comment. We request that each interested participant complete a public participation form using legible writing to ensure that responses are appropriate and properly focused. Per Benton Harbor Area Schools Bylaw 0167.3, which governs board participation at board meetings, we request that you preface your comments with your name, address, and group affiliation when appropriate. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to a 3-minute duration, and per our bylaws, no participant may speak more than once on the same topic until any other persons have had the opportunity to speak on that topic. Participants may remove their mask when addressing the board. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. The board will listen, take comments and questions under advisement, and not respond at this time. I, as president, will refer the questions to the superintendent for research and response. Please ensure that your public participation form includes your contact information as requested. If you have specific questions for the board or executive team that require follow-up, please email those directly to natalie.singer@bhas.org. You have the floor.
Thank you. Good evening, Tiana Batiste Waddell. Thank you. Good evening, Tiana Batiste Waddell, 330 Colfax Avenue, South Bend, Indiana. Educational advocate. That's why I'm here. The consequences of poor schooling management are detrimental to children and their communities. It seems that good things, great things that are working here in Benton Harbor are being shut down by this administration. When children do not have access to great schooling opportunities, like attending a robotics competition, they are more likely to experience poor health, have a shorter life expectancy, experience poverty, experience unemployment, have a lower salary, experience gender inequality, isolate themselves socially, participate in illegal activities, lack of opportunity to build wealth, they'll have poor economy, and lack political and social participation. Board of Education, the community demands you do a superintendent search for a leader that will bring positive changes to the district. Do not give Dr. Butts another employment contract. He has not made many positive changes during his administration, but instead has either dismantled the district, kept the status quo, or things have gotten worse under his leadership. For example, and I can go over a whole list of other things. Robotics competition to start, taking students out of that. Why didn't they attend the local one? Decrease in M-STEP scores. District athletics removal from the Lakeland Conference. Suspension rate, expulsion rate is higher. Higher teacher turnover rate. Lack of transparency with the weapon being in the high school during the fall of 2024. Significant loss of students in the district costing millions. And so much more that goes unreported. So again, the BHAS Aspire Foundation, Save the Youth Michiana campaign, and several additional citizens want to strongly encourage this board to make a motion and vote to don't renew his contract. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Just as a reminder, again, our only item of business tonight is the Fair State Robotics Field Trip. So we're here solely for the purpose of potential approval of that item. Is there anyone here who would like to make an additional public comment on the robotics field trip? You have the floor. Of course.
Sorry. I'm one of the students at the robotics thing.
So I want you all to know that this is a space where you can feel completely comfortable. I know it seems super formal because you have all of these faces sitting in a professional manner looking at you, but we are your family. So whatever it is that you have to say pertaining to this topic, feel completely comfortable.
Okay, I don't mean
Speaking to the mic.
I don't mean to be rude, but I honestly feel that it's a shame that the competition was took away from us, because at the end of the day, no offense, nobody that's in here besides me, her, and Miss Mason have put in the time and effort to build that robot. It is a really hard process, and for it to get taken away from us is really insane.
Thank you. Yep, you have to say your name.
My name is Tanaya Welch.
Okay, thank you, Tanaya. Did you have a comment?
My name is Zakira Baxter. How are y'all doing today?
Fine.
Good.
Okay, that's good. So I'm also one of the students, and my part of the robot was really the swerve wheels. That's the base of the robot. And like the stress and the time and the effort it took to put those together, take them apart, put them together, take them apart. Like, it was really stressful to hear that our trip got denied when we put in a lot of hard work, time, and effort into that. That's all for right now.
All right.
That's all I'm right for right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else here for a public comment? I'm a big advocate of youth expressing themselves and feeling comfortable with utilizing your voices. So never feel any pressure at this juncture.
Good
You have the
evening.
floor. Good evening.
I'm Commissioner Emma Kennard. And I just like to piggyback on everything this young lady had said. So it's no need of me trying to go behind her to repeat everything that she said. But I'm quite disappointed. I remember when the robotics class had first opened up here at the school, it gave so much promise and we were so excited about it. And just to hear that it had been denied in this last competition was quite a slap in the face, because it was such a beautiful asset to the children here in the school. So just to know that it had been denied and they weren't able to participate was quite disappointing to me. So I think that this is something that they cannot regain. This is quite disappointing to those students also. So for whatever reason that it was to not have that here, it seems like it could have been worked out that these children wouldn't have had to put in so much energy and so much excitement towards having this competition. So I'm disappointed with it. And I hope that somehow or another that you can restore as they say, restore the roar. That's taking the roar out of what they said the Tigers do, restore the roar. That took a whole lot out of the roar. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here for public comment? You have the floor. And our only agenda item tonight is the Fair State Robotics Field Trip.
Thank you. Hi, my name's Chris Smith. I teach Spanish here. And so it's my privilege just to have an opportunity, and I apologize for walking in late. So I'm aware of the agenda item. To be honest, I had not researched as far as some of the background of it. So with respect to not trying to assume that I know a lot of any of that, I just wanted to comment that I know those are important considerations. I've been to a robotics competition. I thought that was a lot of fun. I've been to it just to see some other groups competing. I know that Benton Harbor, I believe it was last year, I was so proud to hear of the achievement that they had. And I knew two of my students were also, I think 2 years ago, 1 or 2 years ago, were involved in it. So I thought that was kind of fun seeing how that goes. But you know, I'm sure that all those decisions will be looked at, and may something new happen that would work in the future that's best for everybody. I also wanted to comment about the observations I have regarding progress in my Tiger time with students utilizing their personal computers that are issued to them. I've found that recently I received a few loaner computers where I was able to deliver those just to students for whatever reason they don't have a computer, that they were able to make more progress on some of their work. I think that when there's more accessible computers that are at the discretion of the teacher to issue out, I think that that's able to fill in some of the gaps where students, again, maybe for reason of a damaged computer, or maybe for reason of, just not having turned in their permission slip or whatever it is, the one-to-one policy where students receive their computer, I believe I see it works for some students. For some students, it really doesn't work as far as some issues happen. I'm not trying to blanket statement anything where they just don't have it available to them anymore for making progress in their academic environment, at least in my Tiger time. So I just wanted to share that from the perspective of, I don't want to take too long. I like seeing the students when they got it, and when they don't, it's nice to have a few to issue out. And I'm glad I've got those now. I've got a few of those. So I
Thank
comment on
you.
that. Yep. Thank you.
Anyone else here for public comment on the agenda item?
Hello, I'm Sophia Mason. I am the robotics coach and teacher here at Benton Harbor High School. I'm not gonna cry. All right, so this is, and I understand why my student is crying now, because she's not gonna be able to make it to the second competition. And she worked really, really hard on those swerve wheels. Swerve wheels is something that we have never had here in Benton Harbor. For one thing, they were too expensive, right? So we worked on it and worked on it. We got the grant money and we were able to build those swerve wheels. There was 2 individuals who built those swerve wheels, and she was one of them. Plans changed after the competition was canceled, and now she's not going to be in state. So she's not going to be able to see what she has created come to fruition. Now, there was a lot of students that have worked really, really hard on this competition. And for them, and for the competition to be snatched away, the first one to be snatched away, even though it was a weekend, was crazy to me. And also the one that is coming up for next week, the students don't even have class on Thursday and Friday. So they're not missing school. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday event. So there's no reason why. And the grant money was there. So I asked, why was the competition denied? Because if you deny it for one organization, check all of those reasons why it was denied for everything else across the board. Thank you.
All right, I just have one point of clarification. Our staff report says that this particular competition is March 25th. Is that correct? A Tuesday?
That's correct.
Okay. I just want to make sure I don't have the wrong date.
So is there an addition, are there two competitions or what? How many competitions do we have here that our kids could possibly go to?
There's one presented for tonight. There was one for last weekend. The one for last weekend was approved. I sent that out, I sent that out to the board. It was approved on March 4th. And this one was originally disapproved due to some concerns with academics. But we're here tonight to make sure that we meet the qualifications of the grant and to make sure that students get a chance to compete. So after speaking with the curriculum committee and Trustee Gavin and I spoke afterwards, and she called this meeting so that we can make this happen for the students.
All right, so we're gonna make sure that we maintain order at the table. Is there anyone else that is here for, and that's my fault, because I just wanted to clarify and make sure my staff report had the right date on it, but before we actually go into this discussion topic, is there anyone else here for public comment on an agenda item? You have the floor.
Heather Mueller. My comment is for them. I'm so proud of you guys.
You can speak in the mic,
I'm
please.
so proud of you guys. I know that you didn't get to go do the competition, but you are recognized by all of the people in the district, and
I need you to speak in the mic. I'm so sorry.
we're so proud of you. You are recognized by all the people in the district, and we are really proud that you represent us. And I know that we always talk about the narrative in Benton Harbor, and this is an academic competition. This would have been a wonderful way to demonstrate what our kids do in this district. And I don't understand why it was denied. And also to see our students work so hard academically in something that is, like she said, astounding, and then not get recognized. If we didn't have this meeting tonight, nobody would be speaking about it. All the work that they did would go unnoticed. It's just really sad to me that it was denied and that we're in this situation and there are students crying. And it's not the first time that students have done things that decisions have been made that haven't taken our students' feelings into consideration. And I think that that's a shame because they're why we're here. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, I think we've gotten just about everybody, so we're gonna, anyone else all right, so we're gonna proceed. We have one agenda item for the night. Under superintendent, there's a Fair State Robotics Field Trip Staff Report C1. I'll allow Dr. Buss to present.
Subject field trip to Ferris State University, date March 21st, 2025. Reason for board approval: the board shall approve field trips and other district sponsored trips that are planned to keep students out of district overnight or longer or out of the state. Facts and analysis: the Benton Harbor School CTE program is requesting permission to take 10 high school students and 2 chaperones to Ferris State for a robotics competition on March 25th, 2025. This will be an overnight trip requiring students, chaperones, and the bus driver to stay overnight. During this event, students will engage in hands-on robotics challenges, collaborate with teams from other schools, and apply their technical skills in a competitive setting. This experience will allow students to deepen their understanding of engineering, problem solving, and teamwork while exploring potential career pathways in STEM and robotics. The objective of this trip is to provide students with real-world exposure to robotics and engineering careers, allowing them to develop technical competencies, build professional connections, and explore post-secondary opportunities. The total cost of this trip is $7,845.04. Policy reference: Policy 2340, field trips and other district-sponsored trips. Funding source: Whirlpool donation, $5,000, and the Student Activity Fund. Strategic plan reference: Learn Environment. Benton Harbor area schools will develop, maintain, and implement with fidelity a multi-tiered systems of supports that enhances the culture and learn environment. Recommended action: that the Benton Harbor area schools Board of Education votes to approve the field trip Ferris State University for the CTE students as presented.
Is there a motion to
Madam
approve?
President, I make a motion that we approve.
I second the motion.
The motion was
Staff
made.
report number C1.
Okay, the motion was made by VP Bowens and supported by Trustee Rocket Martin. I'll open the floor up for questions or comments regarding the field trip. VP Bowens.
First, Madam President, I think we should give those young people that came up to speak a round of applause. It takes courage. We hear you, we value you, and putting anything together is a monumental accomplishment. So keep doing that. I've walked to school and I've seen you guys working on it. Stay encouraged and keep going. I guess my question is, what is the process with doing field trips like this? If the principal signed off to recommend it to us and it came to us and then it was then rescinded, I'm just confused. Are we overstepping the principal that has the inner workings of the day-to-day of the building? I have a lot of questions, but due to the sake of time, what is the process when the principal signs off on the field trip request?
So I can, Dr. Bus can speak to that if he would like to.
So the process is, it goes to the building principal. There's like 5 levels of approval. It goes to the building principal, it goes to the director of academics, then it comes to me. We did have a meeting about this particular field trip. At the time it was submitted, there were some concerns with academics. So the recommendation to me was to allow the weekend trip, which was approved, which I sent to you earlier in an email, and that this one, since it was during academic time, to be paused. But since the first one was missed, we want to make sure that the students get the chance that they deserve to showcase their talents.
I just want to confirm that this was brought to us before though, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So this is, this staff report was on our February 25th agenda for the work session. When it was time, and this is something that I communicated via email, to the board when it was time to approve the agenda for the regular board meeting. I did inquire about this particular staff report not being there. I thought it was an oversight. At that particular time, I was told that it was due to academics at that particular time, but that there were 2 other opportunities for field trips. Because of the title and it being noted as a robotics field trip on the agenda, I did not realize that it was an actual competition. But in the conversation that I had with Dr. Butts, I did say that in this season, we are trying to encourage individuals with academic performance, so I can understand if the district is making that a standard to try to encourage students to succeed. However, this is a competition that is reflective of the work that they've been doing as it relates to STEM and things of that nature. And so I did let him know that I believe that the board would have strongly supported approval of this particular field trip. And so I wasn't present. I would have let the board know that this was something that was different on the agenda, but in my absence, unexpected that day. I don't believe that there was an extensive conversation for the board to realize that the actual competition was not present. Secretary Triplett.
Madam President, let me make myself perfectly clear. This was an egregious move. It was wrong. And I want to know who made the decision to cancel our kids from going to this competition. The conversation about the grade, the concern that the counselors brought before us was for the Black college tour, and they were going to be gone for weeks. This was not a precedent for any other trip, and most definitely not a precedent for a competition for our kids to go right down here to compete. Because see, what the real deal is simply this, is our kids are the last thing on people's mind. It's a whole bunch of grown folk mess. And that's the bottom line. And there was never, I don't know who could get confused enough to think that we were ever talking about this trip. This is a senior sitting here in tears who worked. And when we sit before the state, we have our STEM program, our robotics, we have this and that and the other, and she will never get an opportunity to even be in a competition for her hard work. This is academic. This supports academic. So when this is over, I want to know who canceled it. I want to know who went down this trip. All of these trips were approved because I think we need to know. Because this is where it comes to us as board members. We answer to our community. But one thing I will not ever tolerate, and I sit in this seat, it can be 6-1. Do not hurt our kids. Don't do our kids like this. They do not deserve, it is nothing. Nobody was confused. And everybody sitting at the table, no. It's unacceptable. I want to apologize from the bottom of my heart that this ever happened to you all. We did not protect you all, but we did not know. I'm gonna close with this. I had no idea. My wife was looking at the competition. The information was coming online and she asked, Ronaldo, where's Benton Harbor? Where are they? I said, they should be there. Only to find out that this happened. Thank you, Madam President.
Trustee Rocket Martin.
Madam President, with that being said, I remember this coming to us in a work session. And I also remember saying, let's vote on this now. I remember that. It was people at the table that said, no, let's carry it over to the work session. We don't want to make a habit. But I think from this is a good example to us. There are times that we're going to have to make some exceptions. Had we voted in that work session, this would have never happened. It would have been taken care of. And our kids would have been able to compete and go on. So what I'm going to recommend is that we as a board look at our work sessions. And if there are times that things come up that are necessary that concern our kids, we can make some exceptions and vote for them, vote on the items that need to be voted on. Because I remember saying clearly, if we all vote yes, okay, I'll let it go. But my first inclination was to vote right then so that it could be done. And we would have been done with this. This never would have happened.
That's not true.
Trustee Gavin.
Thank you, President Robinson.
That's not true.
I am in agreement that when it's issues of field trips, I am inclined to vote on those quickly. But the vote that concerns me is the vote that leaves us with a leader who would deny them. I'm just going to keep it real, and I'm not interested in anybody taking up for grown folks who don't take up for our kids. That's just me, and that's unapologetic about me. Our children have been fighting for their education for too long. They should not have to fight educators for their education. That should never happen in this institution, and it's our responsibility to protect them and to make sure that this never happens again. And I want to be clear that this has been happening. There was just a few people who were courageous enough to say something out of fear. No one should have to be afraid to deliver educational experiences to our children. And it's up to us to make sure that we create a safe space for them. There is never a question as to whether an engineering program with a culminating project that gives our students an opportunity to express their genius in inventions, they should never have to beg for that right to do that in Benton Harbor area schools. That's not who we are. And I also want to be clear that I am grateful that we had an opportunity to come back to this moment and try to correct it. And it is an inconvenience to them to have to come and fight for their education, for their teacher to have to do this on a Friday afternoon. This is time they could have been preparing. This is time they could have been celebrating the previous competition. And I also want to be clear. The question was asked to Dr. Butts why they did not attend the last competition. And Dr. Butts indicated on our record that that event was approved. I'm looking at a document that says denied by Kelvin Butts on March 4th, 2025. And so I think that there is an explanation that needs to be given as to why I'm looking at a document that indicates that Dr. Butts said that that local competition was denied. And I do have a question. Does this robotics program receive state aid funds from the state of Michigan Department of Education? And if so, if they did not attend those competitions, would that put us at jeopardy of losing our funding for the program from the state of Michigan?
Dr. Butts, I know you sent us an MDE document that reflected the requirements.
The requirements was for one trip from the MDE document that Mrs. Brockhart and I looked at.
Okay, and I just want to say it's at least one. That means that's the minimum, and we should not be making the minimums our maximums. And if all of those denials would have went through, that means that our students would not have had an opportunity to participate, and the robotics program would have been defunded by the state of Michigan. I just want to be clear about that. Thank you.
Any other comments from the board? Trustee Doyle?
I would just like to apologize to you guys because there's no way you guys should not have been at that competition. And I feel horrible that you missed that.
So I would like to, I rarely give a comment when other comments are given. If it's clear the direction that the board is giving, I just want to say that we are proud of the district for having the ability to have this as one of our CTE programs and robotics competitions. I think it's absolutely amazing that we have students that have an interest and a passion in STEM. And so I am truly in support of this particular field trip. I think it's exciting. I am because I have to pay attention to things, I do see that we don't have the coordinating documents that go with it for the particular field trip. And pertaining to Trustee Rockette Martin's comment, she did try to push it through. There was information or comments about it being a work session, but I also was adamant that we wouldn't push it through because we didn't have the coordinating documents. I'm making an exception today because there's normally additional documents that we have that give us details. But my ask would be that the board has sent those forms prior to the team going, so we can make sure we have the information you all, all of the intricate details prior to you all actually leaving. But I'm asking that the board, it's my, duty to make sure that I reflect that, but I'm asking that the board, I want the board to make sure that we're making the vote, even though we don't have those coordinating documents, but I am truly in support of us doing so at this particular time because I do want to ensure that they get an opportunity. And I'm thankful that our students did find the ability. You don't have to be shy. I know I've said it 1,000 times, but I'm a person that is really compassionate and a big advocate of everyone using their voices, not just students. But I know it begins with you all being comfortable now. And having the opportunity to be comfortable now will assist you in utilizing your voices as adults. And so I would challenge Ms. Mason in the district to find an opportunity to give our robotics team a chance to display this particular robot or other projects. I don't know if you guys tear the other projects up to recycle the various parts or if you still have your previous robots, but I think it would be amazing if you all could give the high school a small demonstration before the student body. That's just an idea. I don't know if there's opportunity to do that, but that's just a suggestion. So that the other students have an opportunity to take pride and honor in what they've been doing, but that will also give our young student here an opportunity to show your peers the wheels that you worked on, and maybe you can give them more details as to why it's so difficult. Because a lot of us, if we're not in that work, we just see it and we think it works and we don't understand the intricate details of it. So we would ask, that's an ask that I have. It's not a mandate from the board, but it's just a suggestion for you all to work collaboratively with administration to see and Principal Morant to see if there's an opportunity before the student body that you all can do that. So at this particular time, all members of the board have had an opportunity to speak on the field trip. It's 6:36. I am trying to be cognizant of time because we'll be right back here Tuesday. So I would ask, Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote for staff report C1?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bowens.
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Trustee Gavin.
Yes.
Trustee Doyle.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, is there anyone, oh, so congratulations. All right, the next item on the agenda is open public comment.
If we-
Good evening again, Tiana Batiste Waddell, 330 Colfax Avenue, South Bend, Indiana. The JAX Aspire Foundation Save the Youth Michiana campaign and several additional citizens would like to first off thank whoever made the decision to have this special board meeting this evening to vote for the students to attend the robotics competition. Thank you for having the courage to step in. Thank you for all of your attendance to do what is right and owed to the children. Opportunity. Board of Education, you once again have an opportunity to make a lasting change for the betterment of the community of Benton Harbor. The time is here to secure a moral leader in the greatest position of power in your district. JAX Aspire Foundation is clear about what moral leadership is and expects it from the greatest person in power in your district. The school superintendent should exhibit the following behaviors. Serve others. It's not about themselves, but instead about the customer, the students, and the families. Manifest honesty. Be open, honest, authentic, sincere, and direct without hiding behind deception, manipulation, or pretenses. Is transparent. Clear, expressing one's thoughts, feelings, and intentions like a window. Safe workplace for all. Everybody should feel safe, not just a select few. Leads by example. Walks the walk, talks the talk, talks the walk, and walks the talk. Shows justice, demonstrates fairness, equal treatment, holds perpetrators, including themselves, accountable, advocates for marginalized groups, and inspires and motivates for positive change. Respects others, shows a sense of care, treats others with dignity, consideration, and kindness. Builds community, fosters connections, relationships, and a sense of belonging among individuals and groups. So once again, JAX Aspire Foundation will continue to hold this school board accountable and central office administration accountable to moral leadership because it is needed to dismantle the current practices that are taking place to shut down this district. A real leader would have had a rubric for the students so that they would have known what to expect. There would have been no surprises.
All right, anyone else here for open public comment? Hearing none, Dr. Bus, do you have an announcement or comment this evening?
At this time, Madam President, I would like to state that I did send to the board the approved trips for this past weekend. You all should have it in your emails, but I am glad we were able to overcome this hurdle tonight to make sure that the students are able to compete next week at their competition. So again, congratulations to the students, and I look forward to hearing some great news from the trip.
All right, up next, we have board member announcements and comments. Trustee Doyle?
I would just like to thank everybody that's watching. I really would like to thank the students for coming out and stepping up and making your voice be heard. People watching. I just really want to say that the most important individual is our students. And whatever it takes to get them what they need to have a wonderful experience in our district is what we should be doing. There's no way this child should be up here crying. I feel horrible about that. And I'm grateful that we had an opportunity to fix that. I invite each and every student to come to this podium and voice your opinions and your thoughts and your concerns about what you want to see. Because it's all about you. It's about you and what you want and what you desire. in your educational experience, and we are here to put it in place and do the things to get it in order for you. So please come and talk to us and let us know. Thank you.
All right, trustee Gavin.
Thank you, President Robinson. I love vocabulary. I just have a love for words. And when I look up the word accountability, it says the quality or state of being accountable, especially an obligation or willingness to accept responsibility or account for one's actions. And so I've heard board members apologize, but then I heard my superintendent double down on an untruth. And I'd be more than happy to share the documentation that I have before me with my colleagues. And regardless of all that, an apology was still deserved for what our children and their teacher and coach have gone through and are going through, what was taken away from them. I'm grateful that my colleagues came together tonight in spite of funerals and other things going on, and came here to do right by our students and our community. So I'm very, very grateful for that. I'm especially grateful to Mrs. Welch and Ms. Baxter for coming in and speaking up on behalf of their student body to show the world that Benton Harbor students do love learning, have invested in their education, do care about their academic careers. And so this, this was an opportunity for us to invest in that. I think that other teachers would love to probably give them some credit for STEM. It's science, it's technology, it's engineering, it's math, it's all of those things. It's English, it's all of those things. And I am also grateful to the staff and to Tiana for coming and saying something very difficult. In spite of people feeling how they may feel about her, she still cares. She still cares about our kids. And so I'm grateful to you. I'm grateful to Commissioner Kennard for coming in and speaking up for our kids, because it defies the stereotype that nobody cares about our kids. We do care about our students. And so I'm just hoping that moving forward, and I don't mean any harm, I don't mean to come off strong, but when I see a student crying, or I see like students harmed, a different side of me comes out. I can't even stop it, and I won't stop it. But it's not to be mean. It's to say we have to do better by our children. We have to. And so, I want to thank everybody for coming out. I think we took something that, was negative, and we turned it into a positive. And we need to put some things in place to make sure that this never happens again, and that we have leadership that will inspire our students and make sure that they have the right platform to do what they need to do moving forward. Thank you.
Trustee Rocket Martin, before you start, please pull your mic forward a little bit.
My mic up closer.
Yes, please.
Okay. Yes. I'd like to also say, congratulations. And I know that there are some opportunities that you might have. I don't know if you know about the Science Olympiad, probably saw out at Lake Michigan College. I know there was a time that Benton Harbor did robotics out there. So you might want to check into that. And then also for the elementary and the middle school kids, can you bring your traveling robotics to the school so that all of the kids can see it, or if we need to gather maybe at the high school gym or something and have a little field trip so that all of your work is not gone unnoticed or undone, And at the same time, I also want to say that your work is important. And it's also important for students to understand that their academics are important. And so we want to raise everything. If you can't be on the basketball team because of your academics or whatever, but our focus is to get good academics out of everybody. And robotics certainly would do that for science and math and engineering. And so the same standard that we hold to them, we want to hold for our whole district because it is important. We want our students to do well all the way around. And I'm for you. I love science and engineering and those things. I work with kids when I was a consultant, doing those kinds of things and providing those kind of opportunities for students. So whatever we can do as a board to support you, let us know. And I remember when we all voted for you to have that position because we felt so strongly about the work that you do. So you have our support. You have our full support, you know. And so hopefully, you know, that whatever happened, that it'll never happen again. But we can also make our students to understand, do your best. Do your best in your classroom. Do your best to get good grades. Do your best because in the end, that's what really, really, really counts. Because scholarships and opportunities afford themselves to you when you have good grades. And when colleges look at you and institutions of higher learning look at you, they do look at your grades. So, you know, do your best. Do your best.
Thank you, trustee Rocket Martin. Secretary Triplett.
Thank you, Madam President. You know, I definitely will never allow anybody to take this and make this about them. This is about our kids. The last two administrations, you know, and I say to trustee Rocket Martin, the board, they bring before this board overnight trips and things like that. And in that meeting, as our president stated, that we needed documentation for the overnight trip. But the trip to Berrien Springs was not an overnight trip. And so it does not fall into that category. Y'all can sit up and play with each other in each other's faces like we often do. But the last two administrations, we hold our kids to a standard and don't hold adults to a standard. Because in order for you in that conversation, when the counselors came before us and the questions were asked, the teachers, the certified teachers, we pay people millions of dollars to do all of this. Who's failing our kids? How do we qualify? How do we justify? We've had two administrations, and we still got these holes when it comes to providing a quality education for our students. You can do all of this. Bottom line is this: our kids were denied an opportunity. The superintendent was not the only person, but is the final say. That's our employee. And we will get to the bottom of whatever this is. Because we know that you all are amazing. There's students all over this country that could not stand in your shoes. You all are the real tigers. Because it's easy to be a tiger when everything is going well. But when things aren't going well and you stand the ground, we have people come back for their class reunions. The president of the class of 1978, everybody come back and Ben Harbor, woo, woo, woo. When we went to Ben Harbor, this wasn't for us. In the 60s and the 70s and 80s, it was never for us. I see people come to this podium who also contributed. And this is this is not about people who came tonight. I watch a lot of people that come to this podium that also contribute to the demise and dismantling of this district. I've never wavered. Because see, tigers are predators. They are never the prey. I want to thank my colleagues on this Board of Education and our president, to Trustee Gavin, and all of them who asked us to come out on this Friday evening, because it's a very busy time for me. To Vice President Bowens, to Trustee Doyle, to Trustee Rocket, and to our esteemed president, who had a funeral that meant a lot to her. And she decided to stay. So don't ever let anybody let y'all think that you might see us not always agreeing. But this Board of Education, I'll say this I believe that everybody on this Board of Education, when we get through whatever it is that we talk about, I know for a fact that all of us, we love y'all. Okay? We can't make it up. They can go to every school. We can never get that moment back. But what we can do is let you know tonight that we love y'all. We support y'all. We, as a collective, will fight for you all. Every last one of us. And please don't ever think anything different. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Vice President Bowens.
You know, when a child is struggling academically, you don't penalize them. You add more resources, you give more hands-on experience. And that's what I think we need to look at. JFK says it best, leadership and learning are indispensable to each other.
Mm.
And when you label a kid that they have academic problems, I think of Ben Carson, who was a failing student but struggling. And he had a little bit more guidance, and his mom and them helped him. And he became one of the best doctors in America. And he did the first surgery of separating conjoined twins. I think we have to listen to what they say, but watch what they do.
Right.
I've said that for years now, and I hope we're paying attention. How did the ball get dropped where it was okay for it to come to us? And then the next meeting, it's not on the agenda. If it was no issue then, what made it an issue later? I have numerous questions, but I'm glad we resolved it. To you all, never be afraid to use your voice. Your voice is your power. And we don't understand or hear until you use your power. So please make it a vow to yourself to stand up, speak up, even if it's standing up and speaking alone. We hear you, we respect you, and we value you. I seen you at Miss Benton Harbor and you were for you, but you were my number one. I was just so proud to see you. Do not be afraid. I've seen you guys working on it. And I just wanted to say, I apologize for the mistake or whatever happened. And we stand with you. And again, thank you, Trustee Gavin, President Robinson. She called me 2:00 in the morning. We talked till 2:00 in the morning. And I just want to say thank you. Well, 3. Well, I was late for work, so yeah, 3. But I was, just talking, and I just want to say thank you guys for sounding an alarm and bringing us to the table. I hope that all accommodations are met with Miss Mason and the robotic team from transportation to hotel. I hope we are not putting you in a Motel 6, but a nice hotel. I expect good accommodations. And if you guys know how to reach me, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to find me on Facebook. I don't think none of you are blocked or anything. So find me on Facebook and I will be there for listening to you and will raise your questions. Thank you and God bless you all.
All right, so it's about 6:55, so I'll be brief. I just want to thank everyone for being willing to come out tonight. I did send the email, I think it was 1:00 in the morning, calling the meeting. Was it 1:00 Wednesday or Thursday morning? For everyone to be here. And Trustee Bowens did email me back to call him, and we were on the phone that night until 3:00 in the morning. So I appreciate everyone for making accommodations in their schedule. I know Trustee Raquel Martin specifically had an event that she canceled as well so that we could be here. So we are grateful that you all will have the opportunity to go. Grateful for Dr. Buss also making accommodations in his schedule, as well as the staff that are here and the guests that have attended within 24 notice of a meeting. We're grateful. Mr. McGrew, I know you probably expected to be free this Friday. You hold us down 10 toes, and I would like to acknowledge that because I think that you're an individual that rarely gets acknowledgement at the meeting, but you're here with us regardless of whether we leave at 11:00 or 11:30. We can depend on your presence, so we thank you all. We wish you the best in the competition. We know that you all are gonna do amazing. I do look forward to seeing pictures online as well. And if you all do decide to do an exhibition of some sort with the school, for the school, I think that would be awesome. But I would also like for us to consider hosting a robotics competition ourselves. We can choose not to have to travel and can bring the competitions to us. If you build it, they will come. So I think, and that's the challenge, to Benton Harbor area schools. We don't have to always attend everyone's events. We can host our own, start our own wave. So I thank you all, 6:56. So at this particular time, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Madam President, make a motion
moved.
to adjourn.
Is there a sec?
I
Okay,
second the motion.
so I'll take Vice President Bowens as the motion being made, and I'll actually take Doyle as a support because I heard her prior to trustee Rocket Martin. Secretary Triplett, can you please call the vote and take us home?
They were talking so fast, I thought they were speaking in a foreign tongue. I don't know what they were saying. Everybody wanted
I
to
know.
adjourn, yeah. President Robinson,
Yes,
Vice President Bowen,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Trustee Rocket Martin,
Yes.
Trustee Gavin,
Yes.
Trustee Doyle,
Yes.
motion carried.
all right. The meeting is adjourned officially at 6:57 PM. Have a great evening.
Okay, Fran.